Hey guys, so I have been studying emotional disturbances, which is one of the 13 disabilities under the IDEA. So let's get started. So I chose to study emotional disturbances because I really had no idea what they were. Um, and the case study we did on Brittany really piqued my interest into what exactly it entails. So, what is an emotional disturbance disability? The IDEA defines an emotional disturbance as a condition exhibiting one or more of the following characteristics over a long period of time and to a marked degree that adversely affects a child's educational performance. So, it's an inability to learn that cannot be explained by intellectual, sensory, or health factors. An inability to build or maintain satisfactory interpersonal relationships with peers and teachers, and inappropriate types of behavior or feelings under normal circumstances, a general pervasive mood of unhappiness or depression, and a tendency to develop physical symptoms or fears associated with personal or school problems. So it kind of encapsulates a lot of different disabilities and things that kids might experience. So sometimes it's called an umbrella term, in which lots of different disorders or disabilities are encapsulated within it. So, for example, it includes anxiety disorders, which is becoming more common recently, bipolar disorders, which is sometimes called manic depression, conduct disorders, eating disorders such as anorexia nervosa, bulimia, or stuff like that, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and psychotic disorders. So, this graphic on the bottom right kind of shows different um, disorders or illnesses that the kids might experience and be defined as emotional disturbances, such as schizophrenia, bipolar, hysteria, anxiety. Just encapsulates a lot of different specific disabilities. So the characteristics and behaviors seen in children who have emotional disturbance include hyperactivity, so a short attention span or impulsiveness, aggression or self-injurious behavior, acting out or fighting, withdrawal, not interacting socially with others, excessive fear or anxiety, immaturity, inappropriate crying, temper tantrums, poor coping skills, and then learning difficulties, so academically performing below grade level. When children have an emotional disturbance, these behaviors continue over long periods of time, and they're signals that they are not coping with their environment or peers. So Brittany in our case study had like a lot of these. She wasn't able to cope with her environment, academically performing below grade level. So yeah, just stuff like that. So for academic achievement, they typically perform one or more years below grade level and exhibit significant deficiencies in reading and math, as well as some study skills. So deficits remain stable or they get worse as they get older. One of the key aspects of emotional disturbances is that it's exhibited over time. It's not just they're having a bad day, they're having a bad few months or years. The cause is super important to know that an emotional disturbance is not the result of personal weakness or lack of character or poor upbringing. The cause is unknown. However, heredity, brain disorder, diet, stress, and family functioning have been suggested and researched as linked to having an emotional disturbance, but it's not anything that the kids or the parents possibly did. It's beyond them. But the most important part is that it's treatable. There are different things we can do to help the kids. So, it's more common than I thought it was. There's 17.1 million children who have or have had a psychiatric disorder. The most common in childhood, however, are anxiety disorders, ADHD, disruptive behavior, depression, bipolar disorders, and eating disorders. So, as you can see, a lot of those fall under the umbrella of emotional disturbances. Here's a graphic which shows that 7% of the special education students had emotional disturbances. This is from 2007, so it may have changed, but it is not the majority. So these kids can be helped. There's special education and related services for students with emotional disturbances, helping the child learn how to better solve problems, communicate and handle stress, as well as control impulses and anger, is especially key. There's cognitive behavioral therapy, which helps with that, which is controlling their thoughts, which leads to how they control their actions. There's family therapy, peer group therapy, medications, psychological counseling, and, as I mentioned, cognitive behavior therapy. So we're going to watch this video, and as we watch, I'm going to look for things that the teacher does to take actions to help her students. Here we go.
Hello, Sandra. Please come in.
How are you doing, Dale? I got a message in my mailbox that you wanted to see me.
That's true, and you should have also received an IEP for a young man that will be joining your class at the end of the week. I wanted to make sure you had a good understanding of his disability. Joseph has been diagnosed with an emotional disorder.
I did get a chance to look over the document and came up with a few questions. The IEP states Joseph is impulsive, inattentive, and occasionally disregards all classroom or school rules. Is this correct?
Yes, Sandra, you are correct. Joseph also has trouble working with his peers, especially during activities when grouping is necessary.
I think in this situation I may want to be in contact with the parents and make sure I am using the same behavior strategies they use at home. Consistency will be very important for Joseph.
Consistency is certainly the key. You will also have to immediately set limits and boundaries with Joseph. You may want to take a few minutes while the other students are completing their warm-up to talk to Joseph. Let him know what the rewards and consequences are for your classroom during this conversation. Remember, when Joseph is joined with the rest of his class, be fair and consistent.
What should I do if I see that Joseph is refusing to work or is not following class procedure?
Try not to get into a power struggle or argument with Joseph. This will only shut him down and may cause a more serious situation to occur. Establish a quiet timeout area for Joseph, and if he doesn't want to work in a group, don't make him. Give him an assignment he will be able to do on his own.
Maybe I can talk to his folks and identify if there are any cues I can use that will help redirect Joseph before there is a breakdown. Does Joseph have a behavior contract?
He was given one at his last school, but before we use it, I want to observe just by myself. I will also talk to Joseph and collaborate with him on contract that he will agree with. This should happen before his first week is over. Joseph is very intelligent and his test scores are proof. Keep the instruction engaging and all presentations stimulating. This will help keep him attentive in class.
Thanks again, Dale, for your expertise.
Anytime, Sandra, and just like last time, I will send you a website you can use if any questions arise and I'm not available.
Have a good afternoon, and I will come to you if there are any other questions. Bye, Dale.
Okay, so as was noted in the video, the teacher asked lots of questions. We're just kind of going to go through some of the things that she did and some of the things that we can do to help our students. So track incidents, include the times of day and activity and environment so you can see if any commonalities. And as mentioned in the video, contact the student's parents. She mentioned that consistency is key. You want to make sure that we're doing the same things that the parents are doing at home. Collaborate with the student. See if the student has any suggestions which we can incorporate into the classroom. Look for prior instances of behavior. Set boundaries. Make classroom environment a friendlier place. So move the student to another area of the room. Limit the student's engagement with others if we're not working well with others. Give both verbal and written instruction or instruction through pictures. That can also help. Have students work together. As in Brittany's case, we discussed having her work with others, which can help her. Allow for oral responses in place of written ones, and allow the student to take additional time to complete the assignment. It's just more about how we can help them in the school. So typically, educational programs for children with an emotional disturbance need to include attention to providing emotional and behavioral supports, as well as helping them master academics, develop social skills, and increase self-awareness, self-control, and self-esteem. This can be done through positive behavioral support, helping them increase their positive behavior, or psychological or counseling services. So children and adolescents with an emotional disturbance should receive services based on their individual needs. It's important to coordinate services between home, school, and community, keeping the communication channels open between all parties. So, as we mentioned, making sure that there's consistent practices in place in every aspect of the child's life. So, resources, and so that's kind of what I got from my study on emotional disturbances.